Welcome, gentlemen, to the Chronicle debates. And today is Tuesday, October 25th, and we've got with us now Lewis County Commissioners District 3, Scott Brummer and Harry Bhagwandin. Guideline for today, you each will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. You will then have 2 minutes per question per candidate. You will have 1 minute for rebuttals, and then each candidate will have a 2-minute closing statement. We'll ask you the question, and then we'll repeat the question to the same question to the next candidate. So, with that, we will go ahead and get started.
You're both filed as Republicans. You're both longtime Lewis County residents, farmers, and involved community members. What makes you better suited for the job of commissioner than your opponent? But before you answer that, we'll get time for your opening statement.
We'll opening statement. Yeah.
Time to think about it.
Yeah.
Sorry. You might hear that question again.
Yeah.
Mr. Brummer, do you want to go ahead with your 2-minute opening statement?
Sure, thank you. So Scott Brummer, and as a 28-year resident here in Lewis County, my wife and I have raised 3 children, have 3 grandchildren, and Lewis County has been my home. I'm a farmer, pastor, and as well a professional biologist. Worked for the Department of Fish and Wildlife for almost 21 years. Right here in Lewis County, was working on the ground to serve my neighbors, deal with difficult issues around flooding, erosion, permitting, dealing with state bureaucracy. And so I have spent a great deal of my focus right here in serving the people. I have a tremendous amount of experience working with the county, with county government, as well as the cities in our area. And so I have truly invested my lifetime, my professional career, right here in Lewis County. And it's been my privilege to be able to run for this position and be able to get to meet so many additional people and to have the opportunity to serve them as well on the Board of County Commissioners. And so with that, I'll make an end.
Mr. Bhagwandin?
Opening statement. My name is Harry Bhagwandin. Do I need to speak into this?
It's fine right there.
We're good?
Yeah.
Lewis County resident for 37 years, raised 4 kids here in Onalaska. I live on a 65-acre tree farm where I grow timber, organic nuts, and fruits. Let's see, I've been actively involved in my community since retiring in 2009. Started a nonprofit to address specific rural economic development issues and try to come up with an appropriate economy for Lewis County, and particularly that maintains the rural character of our county. I came up with the help of my colleagues the idea of promoting tourism. With that, we started a nonprofit and we developed Carlisle Lake Park. It's a beautiful place now. I've been involved in fisheries issues with the students at Onalaska High School since 1990. And raised 4 children here. So I think that my experience with working with my community with limited resources to better our economic situation makes me a better candidate for Lewis County Commissioner.
Thank you. Now, a question you may have heard before. There are similarities between you, but what makes you better suited for the job of commissioner than your opponent? Mr. Bhagwandin, you go first.
Well, I think that we're both good candidates. I think that we both have passion and want to make a difference for our county, and we, as you mentioned, have similar experiences in our lives. I think that what sets me apart from my opponent is the broad range and diverse experience working with my community. As I said, I have been addressing the issues of rural economic development, and I have to that end created partnerships, and I think that what my skill set is bringing people together to solve complex issues and engaging the public in the processes that determine their future. And I think that it's time that we bring people together because the issues are just getting more and more complicated with unprecedented growth and development. and it's going to take the voices of the people to be included in the decisions that are going to affect the future of our county. And what I am most passionate about is planning, appropriate planning, and getting citizens involved in visioning their future. And I'm very inspired by what's going on in Packwood, where they're addressing somewhat of a housing crisis and a growth and development crisis. That experience inspires me to get my community involved in my track record of bringing people together to solve solutions with limited resources, and is what I think sets me apart.
I believe as well that my experience level is what sets me apart. I appreciate Harry's perspective, but from my standpoint, I have a lot of direct experience not only in state government but in local county government. The amount of relationships that I've built, the people that I have worked with over these last 28 years that I've been here in Lewis County has built that up. I have a reputation here that I have come about honestly. By working to solve problems, to help folks. I also, on the pastoral level, I have been in several different churches at different levels of pastoring and serving the community in that way. So I too believe I have a diversity of experience there. As far as what sets me apart as well is I am a problem solver by experience and by nature. That's what I do is help people solve problems. And as well, my commitment in this process is to be a listener, to be someone who listens to the voice of the people and what the needs are, and then solve those problems, act appropriately, and bring a level of honesty and integrity. We have great need all across our government, in every form of government, to have people of honesty and integrity who will do what's right and speak for the people. And so that's where I believe I stand firmly. Thank you.
All right, I'll go back with you, Scott. This is a two-part question, and it's fairly detailed, so be ready to watch your time limit on this one. The Board of County Commissioners this morning voted to adopt an ordinance prohibiting homeless encampments on county land. Do you agree with this decision? And what are some of the other steps you would take if elected to address homelessness?
So I did speak in favor of this ordinance this morning at the Board of County Commissioners. I believe that we need to be very careful about allowing these encampments to grow. If those public lands are continued to be open, the encampments, the amount of people coming in from other areas from outside of Lewis County is highly likely to increase. We see other cities, Tacoma, even down in Portland now, that are looking at making similar policies, and those folks will want to come into areas where there are resources. And so I'm very concerned that we will overrun our ability to help even the folks that we have. As a pastor, I firmly believe that we need to have compassion. We need to help people that are impacted by homelessness. There's a variety of reasons. It's not just drug addiction. There is mental health issues. Lots of things that are causing the affordability of housing. And so I believe that we can do better with the resources that we have. We can find some better solutions. And so it's important, though, that I think we not bring in more people to stretch those resources that we do have. And so I am in agreement with that. As far as what I would do as a county commissioner, is I continue to have the conversations with both people that are passionate about serving the homeless and the folks that are finding it difficult to deal with the impact of homelessness. And I have, of course, know the folks that are working in the homeless issue directly, both at the Gather Church, Salvation Army. Those are folks that we need to have continued conversation with. And I think if we put our heads together, if we continue to work on it, honest with each other, we can come up with viable solutions.
Thank you, Scott. And same question to you. I'll read it again, Harry.
Please do.
The Board of County Commissioners this morning voted to adopt an ordinance prohibiting homeless encampments on county land. Do you agree with this decision? And what are some other steps you would take if elected to address homelessness?
Okay, so I agree with the decision. I know it's a difficult decision, and I know that, like Sean says, we keep doing the same thing. It's a definition of insanity if we're expecting different results. This is a complicated issue. I was inspired to see the turnout. People are definitely passionate about this issue. It's a growing problem in our county. It's a growing problem in our cities and in our country as a whole. And it's very complicated, and it's going to take multiple generations, I believe, to solve. What we could do to solve it is to continue the dialogue. I think that's the most important thing that's come out of this whole process this morning with the introduction of an ordinance. People have got to come together to, so what I would do is to increase the dialogue, bring people together from all walks of life to solve this problem. And I noticed that there were some homeless people that did speak today. I think we need to hear from homeless people about the problems that are confronting why they are homeless and get at the root of that. But as I say, this is a difficult problem to resolve with limited resources. And if somebody says they have the answer to this, I would caution, because I'm not certain that anyone has the answer to this. But together, in conversation and in dialogue with the diversity of people, from the people who are on the ground, on the front lines of this, to our decision makers, to the public, we will come up with some solutions. But so I am encouraged, and what I would do, again, to emphasize, is to bring people together and encourage the dialogue, because we've got to start talking about this problem.
Okay. Thank you. If either of you ever want to have a rebuttal, you're welcome to volunteer that. Otherwise, we'll keep moving.
Thanks, yeah. we're good.
Harry, you get the next question to answer first. In the last few months, there's been talk of potential research into wind farms, a hydrogen production facility, and even a fusion reactor coming to Lewis County. What's the county's role in restricting or encouraging these proposals?
Well, I think that the county's role is to encourage the solutions and to, again, create the dialogue to find those solutions. In particular, the county's role specifically with the hydrogen that came up with the resource lands that Weyerhaeuser owns. I think it was good to table that, because I think that we need to have control. And I think that the reason that was tabled was because, so let me back up a minute. The request was for a zone change that would allow windmills on resource lands, which may or may not be consistent with the resource use of that land as intended. In this case, with the windmills, it triggers a process that would involve the state, which could trump any county ordinances. So I think that was a good move for the county to punt, so to speak. As for hydrogen, which is being proposed for TransAlta, I think hydrogen has a possibility to reduce the carbon input on our I-5 corridor with long-haul transit, shipping, and aircraft. So I think it's something that's worth looking into. What the county's role is to facilitate those conversations. What I am concerned about in that whole process is that Skookumchuck Dam, the reservoir that's created there, is the largest privately owned water right. I would like to see that water right, if the county has any negotiating capability, to be able to keep that water right for future uses in the county. So that's where I would be advocating for, if at all possible. That's not the county's water right, of course, but it should be a negotiating, we should be at the table. So the county's role, again, good, I'm good. I see the time card.
All right. Scott, you want me to ask the question again?
Yeah, please.
In the last few months, there's been a talk of potential research into wind farms, a hydrogen production facility, and even a fusion reactor coming to Lewis County. What's the county's role in restricting or encouraging these proposals?
Well, first of all, we need new energy sources. We need them across the board. We need to be energy independent in the United States. That needs to be a focal point. We need more electric power. We need more ability in the transition period as we look to new technologies. I think that is something we absolutely have to embrace as that times are changing, our energy sources are changing, and it's important that we move forward with those. The county's role should be to encourage those kind of developments. The hydrogen, I believe, holds great promise. The location is a good location. There's obviously lots of details to work out, but I'm in support of that project. As far as the windmills, I think those are less attractive to our area because of our issues. We just don't have a tremendous amount of wind. There's lots of concern over their viability, and I think those are legitimate concerns. But as far as the county's role, it should be always to protect the citizens, protect the people of our county, but also to encourage good job growth. I think those avenues of potential energy independence and energy growth will help with job creation and good job creation. So it has to be something where we as the county take the voices, listen to everybody's perspective, and then look very carefully at them as we move forward, and whether it requires zoning changes or whether it requires us to provide tax incentive, whatever the case may be, that we approach them very carefully and methodically and make good decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Scott, we'll go with you. With severe flooding becoming more common, and experts predicting it will only get worse in the next decades, what should Chehalis Basin leaders do? And do you support the proposed flood retention facility on the Chehalis River?
Well, I've been here in Lewis County during the major floods. I missed 1990, but everyone since then from 96 on, been on the ground. I have helped people sweep mud out of their basements, pull the insulation out of their walls. I've been impacted both personally and professionally by the flooding. And so I believe that we do need a structure. We do need a flow control structure. Currently what's permitted, I do support. I think it actually could have gone a little bit further, but as far as where we're at right now, I would encourage the Basin Authority and the folks that have been working for many, many years to make this happen to continue moving forward and put the right kind of pressure on the state legislature to appropriate the funds that we need and to work with the affected tribes so that we get something on the ground. It's time to move. It's time to act. We've planned ourselves into inaction, and that causes further as more floods come and more damage is done. And I think that we can actually do something tangible that will have a positive effect. Thank you.
Yes, and Harry, same question to you. With severe flooding becoming more common and experts predicting it will only get worse in the decades ahead, what should Chehalis Basin leaders do, and do you support the proposed flood retention facility on the Chehalis River?
Well, I support the flood retention facility proposal on the Chehalis River because I feel like we've got to do whatever we can do to hold back water and mitigate the increase in flooding that is coming. My concerns for that are that we don't impact adversely the other species that rely on the water, in particular the key species, salmon. I would not like to see that impact the listing. I know that Scott, as a WDFW guy, understands that we may get a listing anyway, regardless of whether or not we have that retention facility in. I'd like to see as many opportunities as we can to explore alternatives. I think that not necessarily one solution, the retention will do it, but in conjunction with other solutions that have been proposed, perhaps we can get a handle on the flooding. But we are in the Chehalis Basin, and it is a river that floods. And getting people out of the floodplain would be appropriate as we are able to, and I would just like to see this conversation continue with consideration of all the adverse impacts. But yes, I agree, we have to do something about the flooding. I've been here and been involved with the impacts of flooding since 1985, since I've been living in Lewis County. So, yeah, that's all I can say about that at this point.
All right, thank you. Carrie, this is our last question, and you're the first to answer it, please. The
Okay.
county is involved with public and private partners on the expansion of broadband internet in the county. What role should the county have in this process, and why is it important?
Well, I think that it's important to bring broadband in. I live in an area where broadband is counterproductive to trying to run a business, and for economic development, it's critical. Nobody under 25 will even consider living in Lewis County if they don't have high-speed internet access. We do have it in some areas, and where we can, these public-private partnerships are essential. And I would like to see, I would like to advocate for more funding, and I think that PUD has a big role to play in this. I think that if PUD can lay the dark line, and we can get some competition from providers to light up the internet services into our homes, that will be useful. Could you repeat the question again, because I'm not sure I'm answering all of it.
The county is involved with public and private partners on the expansion of broadband internet in the county. What role should the county have in this process, and why is it important?
So the role the county should have is to facilitate those conversations, and to provide, negotiate with our legislatures and federal included, to try to get some of those funding, because that's a huge dollar bill expense, and we need to be at the table to try to get funding to promote those public-private partnerships so that we can bring internet to our county.
Thank you. Scott, do you want the question again?
No, I think I'm good. I think the county, largest role there should be to provide oversight to anytime that the public money is being spent, taxpayers' funds are being spent. And I do agree that there are opportunities that we need to take advantage of, and to bring broadband to more areas of Lewis County. So the county's position should be to have direct oversight on the money being spent, auditing, making sure that it's appropriately used, and that the outcomes were as they should be. I would also say that we need to be cautious about the amount of public dollars that we spend on these type of things. There's new technologies that are moving forward, Starlink being one of them. As that becomes more available, that takes away the need for pushing fiber optic line, and allows us to use the satellites directly. And so we do need to have competition. We need to have more than one player, not just Starlink. We need to have other folks involved, whether that be Toledo Tel, Lewis County PUD, CenturyLink. We need that competition is what definitely keeps our prices down. So those should be encouraged. But as far as the county's role, as Mr. Bhagwandin stated, should be for us to help bring those dollars in, work with the Economic Alliance in areas where we can get funding, both at the state and federal level, bring it to our area to see those expansions, but then have the proper oversight so that we know it's being spent appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. And now that's it for the questions. We will go to your 2-minute closing statements, and we will start with you, Scott.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I've appreciated the opportunity to run this campaign and to meet people, talk about the issues that are important to them. I think that it's an incredible experience. We have a lot of work to do. I think Lewis County is in a good position. I believe Lewis County is a great place to live, to raise a family. I love this community. And so it is my goal to serve it wholeheartedly, to listen to the people, to represent them, as I said, with honesty and integrity. I believe that that the days ahead are good days for this county and for this community, and I want to see us succeed. And we can solve problems. We can deal with the issues that we have, and make a bright future. And so that is what I am focused on, and what I will do as county commissioner is work to serve the people and represent the people, be their voice. Thank you.
And Harry, your closing statement.
So, as I opened with, if you want a candidate that has experience working with their community with limited resources to solve complex problems, then I'm your guy. I have a track record of bringing people together, and it is my passion that people get involved with the decisions that are going to inform and their future. And what I am passionate about is creating meaningful jobs, family living wage jobs that can provide our children to raise their families here, because the infrastructure is lacking. We have been discovered. It's a beautiful county. People understand that, and they want to live here. So the challenges that are ahead is to provide the housing that's needed. The county plays a role in that, in how it can impact zoning, but that all depends on active participation from the citizenry. So this participation rate that we are known for in Lewis County in our politics has got to change, and it will be my goal to involve people and bring people to the table to get us moving in the right direction. So thank you for considering me for your next Lewis County Commissioner. And thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thanks for the both of you. Appreciate it.
Yep, that was easy.
That's it.
Yeah, right on.